If you've ever taken a vacation, gone to a hotel, eaten at an Applebee's, or even bought ice cream from Cold Stone Creamery, there is a good chance that you have interacted with the topic of today's video, that is Shift4 Payments. Now, Shift4 Payments is a payments provider, and we are going to look at this company today in detail, around about 15 to 20 minutes. We cannot squeeze it all in because this is a big company, there's a lot to talk about, so there will be follow-on videos where we look at the finances a little bit more in detail, and look at the financial model and stuff like that. But for today's video, we will break down Shift4 Payments, we'll talk about what the company does, who it does it for, and what the future might look like for this business. My name is Ash Anderson, and this is a tech breakdowns of Shift4 Payments. So let's talk a little bit about what this company does, and we will meld in the customers along the way just because that makes sense. So Shift4 is essentially a merchant acquirer, and if you've watched the videos on this channel in the past, you've probably seen the Adyen video, which I think is my most popular video at this point in time. Adyen is also a merchant acquirer, but it goes after the market in a different way to Shift4. Another possible competitor or a company you'd look at in the space is a company like Stripe. There's the likes of Stripe and Adyen and Shift4. You'd also look at companies like Toast. Toast is a little bit different though, in that they don't actually process the payments. Shift4, Adyen, Stripe are a lot more similar. Now, while the three of the companies, Stripe, Shift4, and Adyen, are all very similar today, they all got their start in different ways, and you can watch the different videos if you're interested in Stripe or Adyen. But Stripe got its start in North America, in the United States, primarily by accepting credit cards online. Adyen got its start by accepting credit cards online in Europe. Obviously, they're now crossing paths, but they both got their start online by accepting payments online primarily, and now they're entering into the real world. Shift4 started by accepting payments in the real world. And the difference there is that the card is present. Shift4 has to provide payment terminals, they have to deal with all the real world mumbo-jumbo of hardware and software integrations and all that fun stuff, whereas Stripe and Adyen just provided an API. Here, put this code on your website, start accepting credit cards. I guess there's more to it than that, but that's the difference between the three and where they all got their start. But today, they all have a good amount of overlap. And I say they have a good amount of overlap. They have a good amount of overlap in that each one could probably accept payments from, a Stripe customer might choose to go to Adyen, an Adyen customer might choose to go to Shift4. But while they have their overlaps, they all seem to have their distinct, niches that they're going after. And so yeah, that allows us to now talk about Shift4 a little bit more and their niches and their customers. Now, Shift4's biggest sort of customer base is hospitality, restaurants, all that sort of stuff. So hospitality, you go to a hotel, it has rooms, it has a bar, it has restaurants. You've been to a resort, more than likely. They have everything, right? And it's all different payments, different everywhere. Shift4's goal is to bring all that under one roof for a resort, for a hotel. So check in, Shift4. You go to the bar, Shift4. You go to the restaurant for breakfast in the morning, Shift4. Their goal is to bring all that under one roof with cohesive software and the payments architecture that's necessary for that. So they do that for a lot of brands that you've probably heard of, like Choice Hotels, or Hilton, or Caesars on the Strip, or even some recent ones that they added to the portfolio, Nobu Hotels. So these are hotels that have said, hey, software looks cool, you also accept payments, this makes my business better, let's sign up and let's join Shift4 Payments. Now, the restaurant side is even more interesting, and I find it even more interesting because of the technology that they've brought out that sort of helps restaurants out. So they have this thing called the SkyTab. The SkyTab is a handheld device that if you've eaten out at a restaurant, you've probably seen at this point, especially if you've eaten out in the United States, a table service restaurant. Now, the SkyTab is a handheld, about the size of a bigger cell phone. It's a handheld device that they can walk around and take orders with. I say they, the waiters, the waitresses. They walk around and take orders with this handheld SkyTab. So instead of writing down, oh, they want a burger, they don't want onions, they want ketchup on the side, all that sort of stuff, they can just tap a few buttons on the SkyTab. And what's cool is they can place that order from the table, they'll swing back around in a little bit, they'll be like, you want some more drinks? Yeah, I want some more drinks, cool. I'll check the want more drinks button and more drinks are ordered.
Hungry for more? With SkyTab, servers can easily reorder another round of drinks.
At the end of the service, they can come back and they can present the check on there. The machine will do all the splitting if people need to split it. They hand you it, you tap your card, swipe your card, whatever you need to do, enter your tip. And one of the cool features that I've seen, and I'll show the video here, is that you can actually have the customers do a survey at the end. How many stars would you rate this? If you rate that 3 stars, 2 stars, something like that, it sends the manager a text right away so that they can come over and see what was wrong. Why was this a 3-star service when we want 5 stars every time?
If a diner gives a subpar rating, SkyTab immediately alerts you with a text message, so you can do damage control to avoid online complaints and encourage repeat business.
SkyTab and its related hardware helps restaurant owners, restaurant managers run those restaurants, just like the software and hardware that we've seen for hotels as well. But the third big arena, and arena is great play on words there, the third big arena they are getting into here is sports and entertainment and venues and all that kind of stuff. They have signed on a lot of arenas, a lot of sports teams to do their ticketing, to do their concessions inside, to even do like seat concessions. So the SkyTab, the same sort of SkyTab, as people are walking around and selling beer in the stands, they can use the SkyTab to accept payments. There are also like technologies that they built as well where you can go into the stores, into the concessions at different arenas and just scan the product yourself on your phone and Apple Pay your way out of there.
Self-service products for a more flexible checkout experience.
So they're working to make payments and technology seamless and cohesive and work together across a variety of niches. And I think they're doing a really, really good job of it. One other niche I did just want to mention of theirs is Shift4 Shop. Shift4 Shop is their Shopify competitor. So it comes with themes, it comes with the ability to accept payments, it comes with the ability to sell products and use integrations, and yeah, just build an online shop. It's their e-commerce offering. What sets it apart from Shopify is that it costs nothing. If you make at least $1,000 a month or receive at least $1,000 a month in payments through Shift4 Shop, it is completely free. Whether you make $1 million or you make $1,000, completely free. Unless you want to accept PayPal, then they charge a little bit on top for accepting PayPal. Why is it free? Because they make money off the payment, right? Every card swipe, or in this case, every card entry, you're selling a product, they take a percentage plus a fixed amount. This is kind of how they operate the rest of the business as well. The hardware that we've previously spoke about, the point of sale systems, the SkyTabs, the whatever it ends up being at all these different places, is generally given for free up front with no recurring costs, just on the premise that all those payments that you are receiving will go through Shift4. And so yeah, those payments really pay back over time, right? Because if you're collecting a percent fee and you're able to keep your costs down, the costs of dealing with those transactions down, then basically your margins just go up. And if you are able to increase those fees on those customers over time, say build it into a contract where it goes up 0.1% after 2 years, another 0.1% after 5 years, it's slowly incrementally growing the piece of the pie, and as their customers grow, Shift4 grows as well. Of course, in researching Shift4 a little bit and looking around online at what people think to Shift4, there are some gripes from people about the fees and the increasing of fees over time. And yeah, I think this is just part of doing business, right? Is they are locking customers in with great technology, great software, a great flywheel effect. They're saying, hey, you've got the best way of accepting money, you've got the best tools for running your business, we're going to increase the fees a little bit. And I believe that this is all built into the contracts, and I think, turning into the cons a little bit here, it's impossible to find pricing, and that's because they go out and they sell to customers on an individual basis. But I really do wish they had pricing online, because then it would make it easier to at least compare, contrast for future customers against, should I use Adyen? Should I use Stripe? Should I build something myself? Or should I use Shift4? Should I use Toast if you're a restaurant? People will find it hard to know if they should use Shift4, or maybe, even the smaller businesses. With perhaps Shift4 isn't interested in smaller businesses, but if you're a small business, small restaurant getting started, you're probably not going to go near Shift4, because you're going to look at Toast, see an actual amount and be like, that's a reasonable amount for me. You can't go to Shift4's website today and say, hey, I'm a restaurant, I want to do this, let me just very quickly look how much it's going to cost me. There is no pricing like that. You have to reach out, talk to a salesperson who's probably going to say, hey, it's going to be 2.9% plus 30 cents a swipe, which is what Stripe charges. And maybe they get you locked in with the SkyTab and you think it's amazing, you love it, you're locked in though. 3 years down the line, instead of 2.9%, it's 3.5%. There have been some gripes online that I've seen on different subreddits about that kind of stuff happening. As for how much it's happening, I don't know. It doesn't seem to be happening much though. I saw a few comments about it, I saw a few gripes about it, but you would expect to see a lot more, and obviously Shift4 is still gaining customers, which is great to see. One other con, which is not to using Shift4 itself, but obviously this channel and this video is catered towards investors, but one other con of this business that any investor should be aware of is just that it is heavily dependent upon the consumer, right? If Shift4 is not charging a subscription fee on its hardware, subscription fee on its software, or anything like that, they're just collecting on payments. This business is heavily reliant on customers going out and spending money. So if restaurants see a dip, that's Shift4 that's not going to be collecting as much money from restaurants. If hotels see a dip, again, not collecting as much money from hotels. That's sort of counterbalance that, and they have a lot of niches. They're big in restaurants, they're big in hotels, they're big on venues, they're big in gambling. There's a lot of different niches, so yeah, you would have to have a big recession for it to really, really, really affect this business. But to be aware of, right? If there is reduced spending in these different parts of the economy, Shift4 would suffer, its earnings would suffer, its take rates would suffer, its revenues would suffer. So shifting to the future a little bit, and this is going to contradict in a big way what I said about Adyen. What I said about Adyen is I liked the way that they didn't go out and acquire, they didn't go and use contractors and bolt stuff on and use third parties and bolt stuff onto their application. No, they didn't do that. But Shift4 does go out and buy companies, and they do it in a very interesting way though, and I think it is actually beneficial and a great future path for this business. They go out and they buy companies that get them either new regions or new niches in a big way. So they bought companies that helped them get into venues and arenas. They just bought a company in Germany called Vectron. Vectron has 65,000 German restaurants. They're going to go and they're going to sell to those 65,000 restaurants now. They're already customers, but they're going to go out and they're going to be like, hey, here's the SkyTab, there's your new SkyTab, here's your new hardware. And then they're going to have those people as customers right out the gate. They now have a business in Germany. And the cost of those customers is relatively cheap too. They estimated on the slides from the acquisition that it'd be around about 2,500 euros. That includes the acquisition price. That includes going to these customers and giving them new hardware, software, sending them all up. 2,500 euros per customer, which they say would be around about an 18-month payback. 18 months to pay back an acquisition like that gets them a strong foot in the door in Europe it's a pretty good deal. And so I think we're going to see more of that from Shift4 as the future goes on, right? They're going to go and they're going to buy maybe somewhere in Canada next, maybe more places in Europe. Maybe they've started expanding it into Africa in places like South Sudan and Sierra Leone. They're probably going to buy little pieces over there that help them get stronger positioning in those regions, and maybe even stronger positions in certain niches in the United States. So it's been a very quick overview of Shift4 Payments. And like I said at the start, I'm going to be making a few more videos on this company because I'm really interested in it. I like what they're doing and I want to look at their finances with you, share some models, that sort of stuff. So if you're interested in Shift4, in fintech, any of that sort of stuff, payments, how payments move, follow the channel, drop a comment, let me know what you'd like to see next. Thank you for watching this one. I will see you next time. Have a good one.